One of the signature marks of a cult is here recorded in the bite model, the E, emotional control. And then part of this emotional control, as we can see here in this image, is instilling fear. What kind of fears? Well, let's go down this list. Fear of losing salvation or spiritual freedom, fear of outside world, fear of leaving or being shunned. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses, the religion, high control group, cult, whatever you want to call it, all of this is like, describes it to a T. It is very, very much on point with the structure they have. Jehovah's Witnesses call anybody who's not a Jehovah's Witness, somebody who's not indoctrinated with those beliefs, to be part of the world. They call people worldly. They have an irrational fear of the outside world. Witnesses, they're taught that that people are evil and only want the worst for you, that they're trying to deceive you and trick you. That's why they encourage witnesses and pretty much force them to only have friends with other brothers and sisters, therefore reinforcing your own beliefs that they instilled in you. Not only that, but they discourage and pretty much you get in trouble when you have start a relationship with somebody who is a worldly person. So all these things, all these rules that the Bible doesn't necessarily support, all these irrational fears that they instill, add up, and you worry so much because there's so many things that can get you in trouble with the organization, with the elders. And not only that, but you have all these fears too, and there's people watching you as a witness. When you're a witness, you all are narcs on each other. You snitch on each other. I've fallen into this trap too, as when I was personally and mentally in. Peemy. That you see somebody doing something and you tell the elders or you let the congregation know. So you're snitches, really. But you know what they say, snitches get stitches. Anyways, I think this is a good way of kind of putting you in the mindset for some of the things that we're going to look at today. And when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses and shunning and how that emotionally manipulates you and makes you really have these irrational fears. So we're going to go into this article here in psychologytoday.com. Links will all be at the bottom for everything we've looked at. We're going to see really what shunning is. So shunning, the trauma of being cut off. Destructive cults control members through fear of excommunication. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses aren't the only religions that do shunning. If I'm not mistaken, Mormons, Scientologists, the Amish, of course, Witnesses, and there's some others that I'm sure I'm forgetting. But these all have some things in common. It says, key point, shunning is a dangerous practice used by cults. Those who are kicked out of authoritarian religious organizations are cut off from their entire social universe. The third of being shunned is an example of the extreme social influence that encompasses all four aspects of the bite model. So there, we're going right back to this bite model here. The thing about Jehovah's Witnesses, which I'm not sure if it's unique to us or not, witnesses, is that your whole structure, your whole social, like it says here, your whole social universe, your whole world revolves around the society, the organization. A lot of brothers, they work with other brothers. A lot of brothers and sisters have all their friends, most of their family that they're close to are in the quote unquote world. So in the organization, not in the world. So you have so much on the line. If you can have this fear, God forbid you make a mistake, you're gonna lose everything. If you live at home and you're shunned and you're disfellowshipped, everybody's gonna know, because they announce it at the congregation, at your hall. Now, other halls wouldn't know, but the word spreads like wildfire. And you're expected to accept that. It says here, the threat of being shunned is an example of the extreme social influence that encompasses all four aspects of the Bible, a model of authoritarian control, which includes behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. When a religious group that claims as an exclusive connection to God kicks believers out, the authoritarian group simultaneously activates all four components of mind control. By ordering members to be cut off, they can no longer participate. Information and sharing of thoughts, feelings, and experiences are stifled. Thought stopping and use of loaded terms keep a person constrained into a black and white, all or nothing world. This controls members through fear and guilt. And it is very true. Jehovah's Witnesses, they get people into the religion by famously going door to door in the ministry, preaching through various different types of methods, door to door, letter writing, phone calls, Bible studies, informal witnessing, and cart witnessing, and some others I'm sure I can't think of. All these things have one thing in common. It's typically a message of peace and love, and you see somebody with a nice garden in their yard, and you comment on that, and you tell them, wouldn't it be nice if the whole world was like this? Or you talk about the violence that you see around in the world. You read Revelation 21, 3 and 4, and then you give them a tract talking about, how do you view the future. It's very like diet Bible topics, something easily digestible. But if you went door to door talking about how what you're actually expected as a witness, the amount of control that they have over you, your autonomy over your own control, they have control over what you think, your own beliefs, and not just like beliefs, but your personality too. They control so much about you that if you went door to door talking about that, nobody in their right mind would listen to the crap that you're spewing out of your mouth. That's what I've said. If witnesses go if witnesses go door to door talking about some of the things they actually do and some of the things they actually believe in that are so harmful, nobody would become a witness. It is super not intransparent of them to talk about only the good things, but not talk about the bad things that comes with it, the baggage it has. So we're gonna go over here to an article. Do Jehovah's Witnesses shun those who used to belong to their religion? Okay, so we just went over, what shunning is. Many witnesses, we're familiar. We've had somebody in our inner circle, who's been disfellowshipped. And now there's different levels too. There's reproving, and then there's being disfellowshipped. When you're reproved, you can be silently reproved, or it can be announced at the hall. Or if you're disfellowshipped, which is shunned, that's always made as a public announcement. So when you're reproved, the difference between being reproved and disfellowshipped is when you're reproved, you lose certain privileges at the congregation. You might not be able to comment. You certainly won't be able to give any talks or anything like student assignments. Student assignments are assignments that they do during the Christian Life and Ministry meeting, like Bible reading or a sample presentation. So you wouldn't have anything like that. And depending how strict the congregation is, you might be able to answer as somebody who's reproved, but you also might not be able to. But you can still go out in the ministry as somebody who's been reproved, both silently and publicly. And trust me, if you're silently reproved, people will know. Brothers, if there's anything witnesses are good at, it's spreading gossip, which anybody who's a Jehovah's Witness can tell you that is very much the case. They are gossipers. But when you're disfellowshipped, that's a shunning. Elders use this logic that you are the one who shun yourself. You disfellowship yourself because you didn't repent enough. Oftentimes, though, elders already come predisposed with what they have in mind for you. Elders love power trips. Humans are not made to govern themselves. That's a biblical principle, and I don't believe in most of what the book says, the Bible, but I do believe that certainly is the case, that men let power get to their heads. Elders are no different. They fall under this. So, do Jehovah's Witnesses shun those who used to belong to their religion? You can get shunned for sexual immorality, for homosexuality, for voting, for doing drugs, basically any kind of sin that's deemed disfellowship worthy. And not only that, but you have to have not repented. But again, like I said, that comes with leeway depending on how the elder feels about you half the time. So, do they shun those who used to belong to their religion? If I was a witness and I turn in a letter of disassociation saying I no longer want to be a Jehovah's Witness, that is basically a disfellowshipping worthy reason. They would disfellowship me. They wouldn't talk to me. I'd lose contact with my friends, my family. Let's see what the article says. Those who were baptized as Jehovah's Witnesses but no longer preach to others, perhaps even drifting away from association with fellow believers, are not shunned. In fact, we reach out to them and try to rekindle their spiritual interest. This is obviously talking about PMOs, people who are in my situation, that you're in, but you're not really there. And that comes with varying degrees of levels there. We do not automatically disfellowship someone who commits a serious sin. If, however, a baptized witness makes a practice of breaking the Bible's moral code and does not repent, he or she will be shunned or disfellowshipped. The Bible clearly states, "Remove the wicked man from among yourselves." Okay, so wait a minute. How do you deem a serious sin? Like it says there. Breaking the Bible's moral code. According to who? The Bible's morality is very skewed depending on how you look at it. So he or she will be shunned or disfellowshipped. Remove the wicked man. If you do something that isn't necessarily a sin, but the elders see it as one, you can be disfellowshipped. Plain and simple. These are man-made rules. They do not come from God. What of a man who's disfellowshipped but whose wife and children are still Jehovah's Witnesses? The religious ties he had with his family change, but blood ties remain. The marriage relationship and normal family affections and dealings continue. Not true. Many people who are family with other witnesses take this so seriously that they would continue to shun them at home or kick them out if it's a child. Even underage ones, like 17, 16, 18. Disfellowshipped individuals may attend our religious services. If they wish, they may also receive spiritual counsel from congregation elders, the same elders who deemed they weren't repentant. The goal is to help each individual once more to qualify to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Disfellowship people who reject improper conduct and demonstrate a sincere desire to live by the Bible standards are always welcome to become Jehovah's Witnesses again. What are the Bible standards? It says Bible standards, what are they? They don't tell you. But Jehovah's Witnesses live by unnecessarily high standards that are very skewed and one-sided. All these things only reinforce their beliefs and are just wrong half the time. Just wrong. So, we see, do they shun? Yeah, they do shun. How do they treat them? How to treat a disfellowshipped person? Okay, so we saw that the the family relationships and all that, they continue, and they aren't necessarily saying against something otherwise. But how do they treat a disfellowship person? It says right here, how should we treat a disfellowship person? The Bible says, stop keeping company with anyone called a brother who is sexually immoral, or a greedy person, or an idolater, a reviler, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, not even eating with such a man. Okay, so let's say I'm a witness and I see this text. Obviously, I'm not going to want to even sit down next to a disfellowship person. And that is what witnesses do. They take these standards and they take it to the umpteenth level. Is strict avoidance really necessary? Yes. Why? It's a matter of loyalty to God and His Word. And not only that, which it doesn't say here, you're remaining loyal to the governing body. 8 men, mostly whom are white, who are in New York, making up all these rules. We obey Jehovah, not only when it's convenient, but when doing so presents real challenges. Love for God moves us to obey all His commandments, recognizing that He is just and loving and that His laws promote the greatest good. Love for God moves us to obey all His commandments, especially when those commandments come from 8 men in New York. That's really what it is. Making up rules. These men could today change the disfellowshipping and shunning rules we have. But instead, they keep it as is. There are people who've committed suicide. There are people who've fallen into depression. There are people who've lost their whole families, their whole lives, their well-beings because of this unnecessarily strict and unloving arrangement. Second, withdrawing from an unrepentant wrongdoer protects us and the rest of the congregation from spiritual and moral contamination and upholds the congregation's good name. Third, our firm stand for Bible principles may even benefit the disfellowshipped one. That's right. They might even be happy they were disfellowshipped. They're probably jumping with joy. So we need to support the decision of the judicial committee. All of this stuff just reaffirms and confirms that this is unnecessarily culty. Under emotional control, this hits every single one. And what happens when you return? What happens when, let's say, for a year, you've repented, you've come back, you were shunned, you lost everything. You're crying, please forgive me, God. You come back, and then they say, this brother is now, again, one of Jehovah's Witnesses, whatever. Bam, you get praise and love bombing 1 minute, then fearing of getting in trouble, being excommunicated the next. As soon as they read that announcement that you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses again, all the brothers and sisters are going to surround you. Depending on the congregation, they might clap or they might not clap when that announcement is read. But for sure, you're going to get hugs, you're going to get kisses on the cheek, and you're going to be invited to go ministry in the next day with somebody else. They are going to give you all their love. All that love that wasn't there when you were disfellowshipped, when you were officially shunned. All these things that we've seen together just confirm, proof that this is not a loving arrangement. This is the opposite. If Jesus was here on earth and he saw the things that this organization is doing, the same way he did with that temple, throwing the tables, he'd throw this organization out the window. He would throw out those 8 men in New York. He would tear down the halls, I'm sure. People are disfellowshipped for being victims. People are disfellowshipped for thinking with their own minds. People are disfellowshipped for rules that men made up that aren't supported necessarily in the Bible. All just to keep the 8 men and the governing body and the society under control, keeping a watchful eye on its members. And that way, they have all the power. And witnesses are powerless. They tell them, don't look outside, don't Google anything, don't find out anything. So, what do you have is 7-8 million Jehovah's Witnesses that are narcs, all ready to throw each other under the bus. Christian love? I don't think so. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll see you guys next week. Well, we'll be talking about another topic. Every Wednesday, new video. See you guys.